Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the live show. Yes, we are back on our normal Saturday night. My name is Eric Mitchell. I am your host, and tonight we have a fun show for you. We are going to be, or I am going to be sharing my spoiler-free thoughts on the Acolyte Wayseeker. I am also going to be talking about the best entry points for Star Wars novels, because let's face it, that can be a little bit daunting. That can be a little intimidating to get into, especially if you are just getting into Star Wars. Um, and then we are also going to be talking about the guest announcements for Farpoint 2026, as we do have two new guests that were announced. Can't wait to talk about them. If you are here from Farpoint, thank you for joining us. This is really really awesome. Uh, I am so excited to be. I am honored to be a Farpoint media partner, and it's just really really cool to to attend Farpoint and really just to cover it for that weekend. So we're going to talk about that here very very soon. But first, just a couple of quick announcements. There is no live show on June 14th, as I will either be visiting my parents for Father's Day, or I will be at a Star Wars night at a local minor league baseball team, trooping there. So either way, there is not going to be a live show on June 14th, which is Father's Day weekend. So just wanted to give you a heads up with that. Other than that, there will be no live show uh, in in September on the 13th. There will be no live show. Yeah, there'll be no live show for that, as I will be out of town again on vacation. Also, no live show July. Yeah, let me see here. It would be July 12th. So no live show there, as well as I'm doing another trip. So we have a lot of trips planned and everything. But we're still going to give you live shows. We may actually switch things up here every once in a while, where we may do like a live show like on Sundays and everything, because Saturday nights, a lot of people get busy and everything, and it's one of those things where people are out and about and everything. And our community member Jackie actually suggested that maybe we should switch our shows to Sunday for a little bit, especially like in the summertime, because a lot of people, when you get to Sunday, you're dreading going to work the next day. You're dreading the weekend ending. So why not get together on Sundays and just you know geek out about Star Wars and everything, and have a good time. So that right now is something that I'm looking into. And if that's something that you would like us to do, um, please let us know. Absolutely, let us know, because it's this is your community too, and we want to just excuse me. I was like fighting back a yawn for a second. But we just want to just bring the joy of Star Wars to you all, and bring the joy of just geeking out and everything with all of you amazing people. So please let us know. Also, I'm going to be dropping a link to our Discord. If you have not joined our Discord yet, please do yourself a favor and join our Discord, as it is a pretty cool place. We are trying to get that community more active over there. So yeah, if you want a cool place to geek out about Star Wars and geek out about Star Wars novels and the High Republic and all of that fun stuff, this is a place that you want to go. Um, like I said, we're trying to build this community up, and it's working. We just let's just make this a more active place. That's one thing that I would love to see happen. I'm going to post these actually in our socials real quick. And while I'm talking to you all, um, I should have done this beforehand, but you know, here we are. Sorry, just give me 1 second there. Okay, there we go. I'll do the blue sky one later. But yeah, we are back. We are here. Sorry about that, folks. Thank you, John. Thank you. Bren and John, who are here in our chat, are members of our community. They're really great people. We love hanging out and talking, and not only do we talk about Star Wars, but we talk about life, and we geek out about all sorts of fun stuff. If you're a sports fan, there's some sports talk there. Has been a lot of sports talk lately, but what what have you. Oh, are these batteries dying? Am I? Yeah. Oh no. Oh. Apparently the batteries are dying in my Hondo Standy, so I'm gonna have to put new batteries in there. Anyway, what was I just saying? Yes. I'm all over the place tonight. I tried taking some notes, but as usual, I kind of just wing it. Maybe I should stop doing that and start taking more notes and everything. Hope that you all are having a wonderful weekend. Please let me know what you've been up to this weekend. How are your weeks? You know, um, I know a lot of us had some of us had 3-day weekends last weekend. I personally was not a member of the 3-day weekend club as my job does not really do that. But whatever. Um, let's see here. Let's talk about. I feel like I should save Farpoint for last. So yeah, I'm gonna save Farpoint for last. But right now, I'm going to share my thoughts about this book right here. This is The Acolyte Wayseeker by Justina Ireland. This is a prequel to the series. This is set about 10 years before the season 1 of The Acolyte. Currently the only There's that yawn. Yes, please forgive me for that yawn. Um, this is set 10 years before season 1 of The Acolyte. So far, the only season of The Acolyte. Please, Disney, make season 2 of The Acolyte. A lot of us want this to happen. There was, a lot of people hated on the show, and I get why some people didn't like the show, but a lot of people hated on the show unnecessarily. Um, there was a lot of toxicity around the show, a lot of hate generated around the show, and honestly, that to me has no place in fandom, really. But I'll get to that here in a second. Um, yeah, this is really, really interesting. I am through this book. I'm still I'm I'm about a quarter through the book right now. I've been reading it off and on because I've had other things going on with work and life and everything. But I At first I was really enjoying it, and then I hit a little bit of a slump because I had trouble with some of the narration in the book. But then once I got over that hump, and now, like I said, I'm about a quarter of the way through. Once I got over that hump, man, this thing has been really, really good. And I don't I want to say that it's on me. It's not on Justina who wrote this. It's on me as the reader, right? Like sometimes, like just mentally, as we're reading books and everything, we have sometimes we have a hard time with narration and what have you, where it'll like cause us to not want to finish the book, right? Um, and I was having that issue, but I think it was with me. I don't think it has nothing to do with Justina because I've read all of Justina's High Republic stuff, and and I've loved it, right? Like I've absolutely loved it. You know, Test of Courage is a great middle grade novel. The Path of Deceit, even though it was co-written by Tessa Gratton, Path of Deceit is an incredible book set in Phase Two of the High Republic. So I don't think it's Justina. I just think it's me, right? Where, like I said, I think we just get into these slumps. Now, what this is about, like I said, I'm not going to dive into spoilers because people are still picking this up and reading this, and like I said, I don't want to spoil this for people that want to read this, right? So this deals with Vernestra Rowe as a Wayseeker. So this is Vernestra. She's a full-blown master. She is, she's doing her own thing, traveling the galaxy, letting the Force guide her, as she's, you know, uh, helping people out throughout the galaxy, right? She's doing what the Jedi are supposed to do. And she's on this one planet and she's dealing with a pirate threat. And that's as far as I'm going with that. So she's dealing with this pirate threat. But another threat has arisen, and the Jedi Council on Coruscant has dispatched Indara here. There she is, Indara, to bring Vernestra back to Coruscant to undertake this new mission and to gather intelligence on this new threat and to stop this new threat. Um, it's really interesting to see the back and forth between Vernestra and Indara and how they are really they're the same, but they're not the same, right? Indara actually reminds me a lot of Reith Silas. Um, but as this book goes on, we're seeing Indara evolve into what we saw in the Acolyte, right? So this is the mission that really starts to change Indara for I don't want to say for the better, because I wouldn't really say for the better, but it starts to change her. And yeah, it's really interesting. We get a lot of great action in this book so far. Yeah, it's kind of how like Wreath changed. Absolutely. Which is one of the great things about the High Republic is we are introduced to these characters, and over time we're seeing them change, we're seeing them evolve, we're seeing them grow, and it's actually a lot of natural progressions, like when it comes to them growing, and evolving as people and as characters. In this, we're really seeing that too. In this, we also see a lot of glimpses of the old Vernestra that we fell in love with at the during the main phases of the High Republic. But we're also starting to see some of why Vernestra is as jaded as she is, because they since the galaxy is starting to darken, I would say, we're starting to see the Jedi darken as well. We're starting to see them not as chipper as they are at the beginning of the High Republic or at the beginning of Phase 2 of the High Republic. So it's really interesting to see how these Jedi are evolving over time. And yeah, I'm gonna keep like doing this with the book. I don't know. It's entertaining me. Sorry. Um, but it's really interesting to see that these characters are meeting in this book and their dynamic and their relationship. It's cool to see it from the beginning, and I'm starting to see it grow, and I can't wait to see how it blossoms in the end. Especially with Indara, because Indara was one of those characters that when she's introduced in the Acolyte, there's a lot of mystery around her, right? And then we get a little bit of her evolution, or we get a little bit of her character backstory through the flashbacks with what happened with with the Force Witch Coven and with May and Osha. And we're really seeing we're really starting to see the stages of this. I will say there are tons of references to early High Republic novels in this, which I think is awesome. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. They talk about the Nihil a lot. Well, I wouldn't say they talk about them a lot, but they mention them. They're mentioned quite a few times in this. But they also talk about other like historical events in the Star Wars universe. And like now I just want stories of these events, right? Like I want more books about galactic events that happen throughout the Star Wars history. And even if it would be like an in-universe textbook or something like that, give me that. Or just have Justina and a bunch of other writers start writing these stories about these various events. I know with Cavan doing the stuff with the Sorcerers of Tuned in Phase 2 of the High Republic, that to me, I would love to see Cavan write stories involving the Sorcerers of Tuned and also all the different Force religions on Jeddah. This is a great look at Wayseekers, because we've seen them quite a few times in throughout the High Republic, and we know like what they're about, but like this really dives into the psyche of the Wayseekers as well. um and it also just dives into the various jobs that Jedi have, because that's one thing that we've also seen throughout the High Republic is all these different Jedi have different jobs, right? Like there are archivists, there are wayseekers, there are droid mechanics, or just mechanics in general. Like you look at Ram Jamaram. And then you look at the Jedi investigators like Emmerich Captor and everything. So I find it really interesting that we're starting to get these novels more about, or novels and comics more about these characters and their jobs, right? And it really fleshes out this universe even more. Like I said, I don't want to dive into spoilers as I'm still like a quarter of the way through this book. But so far I'm really enjoying it. My Now that I'm over my own issues with me reading this, I'm really enjoying this. And when I say my own issues, like I said, I had trouble just myself like mentally getting over the narration, because for me it's some of the narration I just was like, oh, okay. But now I think I was just being too critical on it. um Plus I've been reading a lot lately. And sometimes you get burnt out with reading, right? Like sometimes you just get so burnt out with reading that you're just like, yeah, okay, maybe I'll pick this up, or maybe I just won't finish this. But now that I've taken a little bit of a break from reading, and now that I'm starting to pick this up again, I'm really starting to enjoy this. So sometimes it's just one of those things where you just need a break from reading, and sometimes reading too much and just dealing with all of those things can really just kind of I don't want to say mess with you mentally, but it kind of can, right? Like it's one of those things where it can kind of mess with you mentally, and it can be a little, I don't want to say jarring, but it can be one of those things where you're like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess that's I guess that's me now." Oh, I bent a couple of corners here. Oh, I'm sorry, Justina, if you're watching, I apologize for bending a couple of these corners later on in the book. But really enjoying this, having a lot of fun with it. I can't wait to give my spoiler-free thoughts. Or I mean, not my spoiler-free thoughts, my spoiler-filled thoughts on it after I finish it. Also, it's really quick as it is. The main story is. Let me see here. The main story is only 251 pages. So that's really, it's really quick for a Star Wars novel. Very quick for a Star Wars novel. But it's really cool. Also, it has an excerpt from Light of the Jedi. So if you want to start reading Light of the Jedi, this is the novel where you can read an excerpt from it. But yeah, I'm loving this. Justina, if you're watching this, um, thank you. This well, I you didn't give me this book. I bought this book on my own, but thank you for writing this novel. It is a lot of fun so far, and yes, please read Light of the Jedi. And yeah. So now let's talk about, since we're talking about Star Wars novels, um, let's talk about the different places, different entry points for people to get into Star Wars novels, because um, a lot of people have asked me, like, well, where do I start? Because this is a very vast universe, right? Like a lot of people ask where to start Star Wars novels, as you know, a lot of people ask like, oh, well, where do I start the movies, or where do I start the television shows and everything? And with the movies and the TVs, the and the TVs, I'll talk good one day. Um, with the movies and television, it's it's wherever you really want to start. Like if you want to start in chronological order, right? You can start with the Acolyte and then hit the Phantom Menace, do that with Clone Wars and finish out the prequel trilogy, and then go into Bad Batch, Rebels, Solo, Obi-Wan, um Andor and Rogue One, and then go into the original trilogy. Then watch Mando, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, and then you can dive into Resistance and the sequel trilogy. And that's one way, or you can just watch it in release order, or you can just like, hey, just start where you want. So, like, if you just want to watch the original trilogy, just watch the original trilogy. Or, I will say this: like, if you're diving into Star Wars via the sequel trilogy first, that's an interesting place to start, right? But we're not talking about that right now. We are talking about where to start with Star Wars novels. And I've got a few different entry points here between canon as well as legends. So, and I'm going to mention a few. I have some here to show you, and then I'm going to also mention a few that I've read that I don't have on me at this current time, because, well, I just they're around here somewhere, and I just didn't feel like digging them out. So, um, let's let's do this. So if you're looking for, say you watched Rebels, and you've watched Ahsoka, and you are big and you're intrigued by Thrawn, right? So there are actually a couple of places that you can go with this. So one of the places that you can go is you can start with Legends when it comes to Thrawn, and you can start with the Thrawn trilogy here, which is Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. This was like the sequel trilogy for the longest time, when it came to Star Wars. And this is actually a box set that I had autographed by the artist of the box set, as well as Timothy Zahn. And then I've got all 3 books autographed as well. They are very entertaining, very interesting. Thrawn is a really interesting character. And this also has the introduction of Mara Jade. It has the it's classic Luke and Leia and Han, and this is also set 6 years after the original trilogy, so they are still um, dealing with the aftermath of the Empire at this point. And Thrawn is like the new leader of the Imperial Remnant, and he is trying to shut down the rebellion and the New Republic once and for all. And there's a lot that happens in these, but they're very, very good. If you are looking for just current canon Thrawn novels, I'm just going to show you the first books in these series right now. So if you are looking for current canon Thrawn novels, this is set right before Star Wars Rebels. This is Thrawn. This is written by Timothy Zahn, just like the original Thrawn trilogy was written by Timothy Zahn. And I just found it really cool that um, that Del Rey and Lucasfilm really they reached out to Timothy Zahn and they said, "Hey, we want you to write more Thrawn." So this is Thrawn, how he joins the Imperial Navy and his rise through the ranks. So there's this one. Then you have, you know what? Since they're right here, yeah, since they're right here, I'm just gonna show them. Um, I don't want to do that. So then you have book 2, which is Thrawn Alliances, which is a team up mission of Thrawn and Vader. Which is really interesting, and it also deals with the planet Batu, which is where Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is, which is the theme park at Disneyland and Disney World. And then you have, I'm just going to put you there for right now. And then you have Thrawn. Yes, he is. I'm getting there, John. I'm getting there. Sorry. 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 And then we have Thrawn Treason, which closes out this trilogy, and Thrawn has to choose between the Empire and the Chiss Ascendancy. And the all 3 of these are great reads. They are a lot of fun. Timothy Zahn has written the hell out of these books, and yeah, they're just really, really good. The next one for Thrawn is, and John just talked about these in the chat. This is the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy. So this is Chaos Rising, and this is about Thrawn in the Chiss Ascendancy, which is the Chiss Ascendancy is where he's from, and that is his government. And this is about his time in the Chiss Ascendancy military as part of the expansionary defense fleet. And it's really cool. There are 3 books in this. It is Chaos Rising, Greater Good, and Lesser Evil. I had to like lean down and look real quick, and they're all great. They are all very, very entertaining. Timothy Zahn just really, the way he writes Thrawn, and especially like within these stories, it really makes you sympathize with his character, but it also like makes you kind of root for him, because this is like good guy Thrawn. And then they really show kind of how morally gray Thrawn is, because he's ultimately doing all of this so that he can protect the ascendancy, so that he can protect his people. And I just, because there's this big threat in the unknown regions that are that these three novels talk about, and they talk about them in the other Thrawn trilogy as well, the other canon Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy. Um, and they really come together to tell this story, and this big threat is still around, right? And I'm really hoping that one of the things that we see soon is we visit the Chiss Ascendancy more, especially after we get the Thrawn stuff in Ahsoka. I really hope that I hope that they tie that stuff in. I doubt it, but I would love to see at the end of Ahsoka that Thrawn just kind of escapes and goes back to the Chiss Ascendancy to deal with this threat. Um, but who knows, right? Like, I don't write these shows. I wish I did at times, but it's something that I would like to see. So those are your recommendations for Thrawn, between Legends and Canon, and they're great. If you are looking for, I'm going to go back to Legends real quick. If you are looking for a great Palpatine story, um, well, I mean, this is really entertaining. And it's an interesting read, and that is Darth Plagueis, by James Luceno. This is part of the Essential Legends collection. This is a reprint of the original Darth Plagueis novel. These are great, by the way. These Essential Legends collections trades are fantastic. They are a lot of fun. They cost roughly $16, but they have the entire, they have the entire, they have everything, right? Um, so, well, we saw Plagueis, so we've heard Plagueis mentioned, and we've seen Plagueis because of the Acolyte. But I agree with you, John. I think that Plagueis needs to be more canonized. And I have a feeling that with season 2 of the Acolyte, they would have done more with Plagueis. But I think it is time for a new Plagueis novel. This one's really interesting. I'm not going to dive too far into it, but it also deals a lot with Palpatine's political career, and how he manipulated the system at local level politics to become a galactic senator, and then eventually chancellor. And it's about that, as well as his time training under Plagueis, and it's just it's really really interesting, and it ties into the Rule of Two with the Darth Bane trilogy. And yeah, I recommend this. I will say this right now. I enjoy this a lot, and it's a great read, and I think I'm gonna reread this soon, because there's some stuff I've kind of forgot. I feel like this is sometimes overhyped a little bit, though. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good novel. It's a very good novel. It's a very interesting political thriller. Um, and it talks it's really neat to see how it dives into some of the machinations of the Sith, especially after the Rule of Two. After the Rule of Two is established. So I'm like, I enjoy this, but I think that there are times when this is a little overhyped. And that's just like the way people sometimes sell it, right? I'll like I know I oversell things sometimes. But sometimes our expectations are too high that sometimes we can be a little bit disappointed. I'm not disappointed in this novel. It is it, it is long and dense. And you're right. It isn't entirely necessary to understand the larger Star Wars story. It's a really interesting side read, though. Especially if you want to try to get into the sorry, into the machinations of Palpatine at that time. So I do recommend this one. It's very entertaining. Next up,
sticking to Legends, this is another great one. This was s- part of this was the inspiration to the Kenobi show, and that is Kenobi by John Jackson Miller. This is a really fun read about Obi-Wan in his exile and protecting Luke, and it's really excuse me for the burp. It's a western. It's a western set on Tatooine, and it's a lot of fun. It is a little it can be a little silly at times, but it's a great Obi-Wan story. Um, and it truly is about his time with it's about his time in exile and how he tries to grow, and he's trying to protect Luke and keep the new hope of the galaxy alive. And there's stuff with raiders and moisture farmers and all sorts of fun stuff. So I definitely recommend this one. Um like I said, just a great read. I don't know if I keep saying I apologize. But John Jackson Miller has written a couple of Legends novels, and he's written two canon novels. He wrote so his Legends novels he wrote this, he wrote Knight Errant, and I believe he wrote something else. Can't remember off the top of my head. But canon wise, he wrote A New Dawn, which is a Rebels prequel novel, which is awesome. That's a great Rebels prequel novel. So if you're a Rebels fan and you are looking for a Rebels novel, A New Dawn is great. It's when Kanan met Hera, and it is a lot of fun, and it's silly, and it's action packed, and it's just a wild read and a great read. And he also wrote The Living Force, which takes place about a year before The Phantom Menace. And it's about the Jedi closing down the last Republic outposts throughout the galaxy, and um, how the Jedi are evolving into this force that's more of a political organization instead of helping people like we saw during the High Republic era. And yeah, I just find it really interesting. So definitely check those out as well if you're looking for canon novels. A New Dawn as well as The Living Force. They're both fantastic. Um, I am going to talk real quick about another author, which is Claudia Gray. She is an amazing writer. And I had some Claudia Gray. I have some Claudia Gray here in my house, but I forgot to bring it out. But with Claudia Gray, she's one of the architects for the High Republic. She's written a few novels with the High Republic, including Into the Dark and more recently Into the Light, as well as The Fallen Star. And she also wrote Lost Stars, which was an amazing YA novel set in the Star Wars galaxy that feels like Romeo and Juliet in space. Really, it is. Hey, Katrina. It's really interesting, and it's a lot of fun. Lost Stars is great. Bloodline, which is a political thriller involving Leia, that one is fantastic. And then Master and Apprentice, which is just, when I say that's chef's kiss for a novel, it is so damn good. And it is about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's relationship set about 10 years before The Phantom Menace. And it is so well done. And just it's fun, it's heartbreaking, it's crazy at times, and it has a lot of action, but it also just dives so much into the Force and the Jedi and how the Jedi operate, and it's just really cool. And Claudia Gray just wrote the hell out of that book. So definitely check out Claudia Gray's Star Wars novels because they are all fantastic. I'm going to talk about another great author here. Well, in just a minute. Going back to Legends real quick, we have, if you are a fan of pilots, because we here on the Beacon we love our Starfighter pilots. Um, X-wing Rogue Squadron. This book is awesome. This is Top Gun in space. It really is Top Gun in space. It is fantastic. It is fun. It is exciting. There's there's a member in our Discord, a member of our community who calls all of Rogue Squadron her lovable idiots because they are all lovable idiots. Corin Horn is the main character in this, and we've got Wedge showing up. Akbar's in this. All of these characters are in this, and it's just so much damn fun. Um, it has action and adventure, a little bit of romance, a lot of intrigue. It has spy stuff in it. It is just it's a great read. This is like one of those reads that you want to take to the beach or like lay by the pool, or like if you're on like a cruise or something and you just want to chill and read a book. This is the book that you want to read, right? Like this is like you want to escape and you just want to just you're already on vacation. You want to shut your brain off for a little bit and you just want to have fun. This is the book that you want to read when it comes to Legends. I highly recommend it. Michael A. Stackpole, oh, just awesome. So well done. He wrote these, and then Aaron Alston wrote a few, which became the Wraith Squadron series. And then they kind of went back and forth for a little bit. But the X-Wing series is fantastic. I still need to pick up Wedge's Gamble, which I will soon because I want to read these so bad. Like this book was so much fun. So yeah, I'll be picking up Wedge's Gamble soon, and I'll be checking that one out because yeah, these are all great. Um, let's talk about a great YA standalone here, real quick, and that is Padawan by Kirsten White, which this is a book all about Obi-Wan, and there may or may not be High Republic ties to this novel, and it's also about his time with Qui-Gon, and it's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like Lord of the Flies in a way. Like I don't want to. It's hard to explain, but it's a really fun read, um, and it's just yeah, I like how silly it is at times, but it also has a lot of great emotion in it. It's got a lot of great action, and it's just fun, right? Like this book is just a lot of fun, and I can't recommend it enough because it's just great. I keep saying it. I keep saying it's just great. It's just great because they're great. These are great books. These are fantastic reads. All right, let me go. Yes, here we go. So, if you are a fan of Andor, I have a book and a writer for you. This book is awesome, and this writer is one of my favorite Star Wars writers of all time. Seriously. This is Reign of the Empire, The Mask of Fear by Alexander Freed. Alexander Freed has written some of the best Star Wars stories in recent memory and in recent history. He wrote, he's written this. He wrote the Rogue One novelization. He wrote the Alphabet Squadron trilogy, which deals with fighter pilots, which is just top tier on its own. Just amazing and fun and exciting and just great. He also wrote Twilight Company. Yeah, Battlefront Twilight Company, which is a tie-in to the Battlefront 2015 video game. And that book was Saving Private Ryan in space. It is crazy. It is wild. It's emotional. It hits you just in all of the right places. And this is a political thriller right here that deals with Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera, and Bail Organa. And it is whew, I I don't know how else to describe it other than This is one of my favorite books in recent memory. It is so well done. It is just it ties into Andor perfectly. Um, and it takes place right at the fall of the Empire, or right at the fall of the Republic. So this is like in the early days of the Empire, and how all of these senators are trying to get their Republic back, and how they're trying to stop Palpatine. And I don't want to get political right now. I really don't. But I will for a second. There are a lot of correlations in this novel with a lot of stuff that's going on in our country today. And it is, whew, man, I was reading this, and when I came across some of the stuff, I, uh, man, I was like, wow, a lot of this is happening right now. And it is, I don't know how else to describe it other than read this book. You know, it is it's a great entry point into Star Wars. It is, if you're a fan of politics, if you love political things, this is what you want to do. This is what you want to read. It's just, whew. Uh, yes, Alexander Freed is one of the best writers in Star Wars. Absolutely, he is amazing, um, and I cannot recommend his books enough. So read this, read the Rogue One novelization, read Twilight Company, read Alphabet Squadron. They're all great. They are all great novels. This is part of a trilogy. I have to look at who else is writing this trilogy, but this was a great way to kick off this trilogy. So I believe we are getting one a year, this year, next year, and the year after. So definitely check these out. This is the Reign of the Empire trilogy, and like I said, it's written by three different authors, but they're all going to tie in really well to each other, and they're going to tie into Andor and other Star Wars things. So, for my final canon entry point, I'm going to show you a special edition of this book, because I would have had to try to dig out my regular edition of this book, but whatever. Uh, if you loved the Acolyte, if you're intrigued by the Acolyte, and you want to read Wayseeker, but then you want to read the stuff that came before Wayseeker to that, like really lays the groundwork for that. Um, we are going to be talking about that is going to be the High Republic, and this is the first book in Phase One. This is the special edition of Light of the Jedi, which is this is one of my favorite Star Wars novels. Um, it is really, the world building in this is incredible. The character introductions are incredible. The action set pieces are all fantastic. Um, it is You're seeing the Jedi at the height of their power. You're seeing the Republic at the height of its power. This is a golden age in galactic history until something happens. Until some stuff happens. This is written by Charles Soule, and I've met Charles Soule a couple of times now, and him and Justina Ireland and Claudia Gray and Kevin Scott and Daniel Jose Alder, the original Luminous Five, kicked off the High Republic with these novels. And I mean, Charles wrote, this is the first book in the High Republic. This is Light of the Jedi, and Charles wrote the hell out of this book. He really did. It is action packed. It is crazy. It is uh just, oh man. I don't know how else to describe it other than it's one of my favorites. Um, it's one of my favorite stories, and it ends on such a great note. It ends with a cliffhanger, but then it also ends like on a really hopeful note, and it's just I don't know how else to describe it. It's just wonderful. It's a wonderful story, filled with just incredible characters and incredible moments. And this um this book really brought a tear to my eye as I was reading it. There are a few moments in this book that had me crying, because of just how powerful those moments were. And there's a lot of great dialogue in this book that will have you in tears. And I love it. So this is a special edition of Light of the Jedi. There are normal editions of Light of the Jedi. You can find it in hardcover, like online and everything. You can also find it in paperback at your, at your local bookstores, wherever you buy your books, because I just want everybody to read the High Republic and to read these novels because they're they're masterful stories. They are wonderful stories, and cannot um I cannot stress the importance of this era enough when it comes to storytelling. And how I will say this right now, this is a highly underrated era, um, in my opinion, because there are a lot of people that like with a lot of other things, there's a lot of negativity towards these things because it's not what some fans have wanted. But I will tell you right now, this book is exactly what I wanted in a Star Wars novel. Um, it is an incredible opening to the High Republic, and it is just one of the best Star Wars stories I've ever read. It really, really is. So Charles, if you're watching, thank you for writing this book. Seriously, thank you for writing this book. And you see, like, the titles in Arabish. That's on this special edition. That's really cool. And with this special edition, also, it was signed as well. It's a signed edition. Um, yeah, I'll also like look at this splash page real quick. Like, just look at that. That's I oh man, I just hit one of the lines here real quick. Um, it says this is so there's this thing that's happening at the beginning, and I don't really want to get into it because I want you to experience it for yourself. Um, but there's a Jedi that says, "This is Jedi Master Avar Kriss. Help is on the way. That one thing, hope." Um, just because it's one of those things that is hope is something that we need, and this shares hope. It shares light, and it's just this book is very special, and I'm due for a reread soon. I'm due for a reread, because this is just a very special story and a very special book. Um, so those are some entry points for Star Wars, whether it be Legends or canon, and I've missed a bunch of things, and I apologize. But I just wanted to show some of my recommendations for that. Um, there are tons of other recommendations out there. I know a lot of people will say, well, read the Darth Bane trilogy or read this or read that. And yeah, I mean, go ahead, read what you want to read. But I think like those are more accessible entry points when it comes to these stories. So let's talk about Farpoint. Let's talk about Farpoint 2026, which is coming up very, very soon. Well, not very, very soon. It's coming up at the end of January. It's January 30th through February 1st, 2026. This is the 33rd Farpoint. This kicked off in 1993, so we are going to be celebrating Farpoint 33 in 2026. Really excited about this convention. This is one of my favorite conventions that I'm able to attend. Like I said, I've applied for press. I am a press partner or media partner with Farpoint, and it is just this is a very special convention. It is a smaller convention, but that's what makes it very special. And I've shared this before, and I'll share this again because it's one of those things that really just means a lot. Farpoint just means so much to me as a fan. Not not just because I'm media or whatever. Like that's fun. Like I'm glad that they've taken the chance on me, and I'm glad to have that relationship with them. But this convention just means a lot to me just as a fan because it's a place to celebrate all fandoms, right? It's a place to come together and just geek out about the things that we love as fans, whether it be science fiction or fantasy or comics or anime or reading science fiction and fantasy or horror novels or gaming. It's all of these things that we love and that we celebrate. It's us coming together and just geeking out for 3 days. And there's a lot of science programming as well. Like there are, we attended a panel this year about dinosaurs. The dinosaurs was this year, right? Yeah. So, yeah, there have been panels the last few years all about dinosaurs and paleontological finds and like where you can actually go on dinosaur digs like in your area and everything, and it's really cool and really fun. And of course there are author guests and media guests, and there are Q&A sessions, there's cosplay. The masquerade is one of my favorite things, and then they do so much for charity as well. They support a bunch of charities here. They support the Farpoint Foundation. They support the Julian Fleming Memorial Fund, which deals with it. I shouldn't say it deals with. It helps families with critically ill children and their medical expenses. And it's oh man, it's that charity alone um is worth all of the donations, and it's worth all of the charity auctions and everything. Um, it is a wonderful, wonderful um, charity. And then there's the Artway Alliance, which is dedicated to providing more artistic outreach um, through opportunities with maker spaces and meetings and workshops and all of this amazing stuff. So these charities are incredible, and they're near and dear to not only the people of Farpoint but to my heart as well. And they are just fantastic. And every year there's a silent charity auction, and then there's a bunch of items that they auction off at the opening ceremonies as well as during the masquerade. um, and it's fantastic. Like some of the stuff that they auction off like during the opening ceremonies is like you can spend an hour with one of the guests there. You can bid to spend an hour with one of the guests there, and like you can maybe even bring a guest with you, which is really cool. Or they have different autographed memorabilia by that guest that you can bid on. There are they had a they one year during the masquerade halftime they had a an outfit from a Shakespeare play. That was auctioned off for like $700. It was crazy. And then they've had all sorts of experiences and meet and greets and everything that they've auctioned off, as well as incredible items. If you're a Star Trek fan, they have a bunch of scripts that are signed that you can that you can bid on. They have a bunch of Star Trek memorabilia that you can bid on, and then there's an art show that you can also bid on items at the art show, and a lot of that stuff will go to those charities as well. And it's just really cool and really fun. And this is a convention, like I said, that is near and dear to my heart. So we are going to take a look at the Farpoint website real quick, and we're going to talk about some of the guests that are coming to Farpoint 2026. So without further ado, let's do it. So here we are. This is farpointcon.com. This is a really cool place where you can check out Farpoint. You can get your tickets. Let's take a look at the tickets real quick. Actually, I would have to look at that site differently, so never mind. So with your tickets, if you're looking at 3 days, it is for the 3 day weekend. It's $90. And that's the pre-registration price, which is between now and January 25th, 2026. That's going to be $90 for the entire weekend. At the door, it is $97 for the entire weekend, and that kicks off January 30th. If you are looking to send your teenager, ages 13 through 17, it is 65 for the weekend, 70 at the door, 65 pre-reg, 70 at the door. Children ages 5 to 12, $30 for the entire weekend. If you have a child ages 5 to 12, Friday only all ages is 30 for the day, and or 35 at the door. If you are looking to do the Friday opening ceremony, which includes food as well as the bar, that is 45 a person, pre-registration 50 at the door. Saturday, if you are looking to attend only Saturday, that is 75 a person for the adults. For pre-registration, 80 at the door. For teenagers 13 through 17, it's 55 pre-reg, 60 at the door. Children 5 to 12, it is 20 pre-registration, 25 at the door. Saturday evening after 6 p.m., which includes the masquerade as well as the 10 forward, uh, extravaganza dance club thingy. Uh, that is 25 pre-registration, $30 at the door. Sunday will be 55 for an adult pre-registration, 60 at the door. Sunday for 13 through 17 is 40, and then 45 at the door. And then 5 through 12 is 20, and then 25 at the door. You can prepay autographs for you're limited to 2 autographs, and that is $30 pre-registration, and it is not available at the door. But that's really not bad. So if you're looking to go for the entire weekend, for all 3 days as an adult, it's going to run you $90, which is pretty reasonable considering like other conventions can be pretty expensive. So Farpoint is one of those conventions that you definitely, if you are looking at getting into, please check it out. Okay, that is also at a hotel. This is at the Sheridan in Towson, Maryland. So this is the Sheridan North Baltimore in Towson, Maryland. And the room rates are actually 139 for a 139 a night for the rooms for Farpoint, which actually is not that terrible if you are looking to get away for a weekend. Um, and it also has more rooms than the last location had. so so that's another cool thing. Um, all right, so let's hear. We're gonna look at the guests. So let me bring up the first guest. Um, It is okay. I'm just gonna share these guests right now. So we are looking at Jess Bush, who is Nurse Chapel in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, as well as she is a visual artist. And then she's also collaborated with NASA and Redwire to highlight the importance of space research and medical achievements, which is really cool. You know, with her playing Nurse Chapel on Strange New Worlds, it's really cool to for her to be involved in medical research and being an advocate for medical research being done in space environments. So yes, Jess Bush is our big right now is our big headline celebrity guest, celebrity media guest. But there are more guests coming. We also have David Gerald, who is a screenwriter and an author. He has written a bunch of TV scripts, including Star Trek, Land of the Lost, Twilight Zone, Star Trek The Next Generation, Babylon 5, and Sliders. He is also the author of Star Trek's most popular episode, The Trouble with Tribbles, which is an amazing episode. If you've never watched Star Trek, watch that episode. Like seriously, watch that episode because it is fantastic. It is a lot of fun. It is a silly episode that involves Kirk and Spock and fuzzy little creatures. Hey, Clone Force, how's it going? Fuzzy little creatures. It is fantastic. This is a wonderful, wonderful episode. He's written Babylon 5, which, if you've never watched Babylon 5, do yourself a favor and watch Babylon 5. It is incredible. It's fantastic sci fi. He's also written a bunch of novels, including he's a 10-time Hugo and Nebula Award nominee. And then he also wrote The Martian Child. So it says in 1995, Gerald shared the adventure of how he adopted his son in The Martian Child, a semi autobiographical tale of a science fiction writer who adopts a little boy only to discover he might be a Martian. And he's actually talked about this at Farpoint. We were at a panel uh, this year at Farpoint 2025, and he was actually talking about the Martian Child and how it was adapted into a movie, but he was talking about like his vision for the story and everything, and it's really really interesting. So David Gerald is a fantastic writer. Like I said, if you've watched Star Trek, The Trouble with Tribbles. that's that's all I got to say right there. And then we have, oh man, I am so excited for this. We have Justina Ireland coming to Farpoint 2026. I am so excited to have Justina at Farpoint. It is Justina is awesome. I got to hang out with Justina at AwesomeCon a couple of years ago because we did a big High Republic panel at AwesomeCon, and Justina was part of it. And it's just really cool to see to see Justina, like attending more conventions and really a lot of people checking out her works because her work is just awesome. She's a fantastic writer. She's done a lot of fantasy novels such as Dread Nation and sequel Deathless Divide, Rust in the Root. Um, she's done a lot of middle grade novels, including Tales from Cabin 23. And then she's also done a couple of romantasy books with Tessa Gratton, which Tessa Gratton, of course, is one of the High Republic authors, and Justina has written with Tessa on a few High Republic books. And then, she wrote Lando's Luck. She wrote Spark of the Resistance, A Test of Courage from the High Republic, Out of the Shadows, Mission to Disaster, A Valiant Vow, Acolyte Wayseeker, as well as Path of Deceit and Defy the Storm with Tessa Gratton. Um, and she's, of course, one of the architects of the High Republic. And then Justina has written a bunch of comics for Boom, Marvel. Um, IDW, Dark Horse. She wrote a Spider-Man miniseries most recently for Marvel, and then she has worked on screenwriting. She did Netflix's Fall of the House of Usher, and she's also been a writer on a bunch of TV shows in the writers' room. So um, just she's a fantastic writer, and she's just an amazing. She's just an awesome person. So if you've never met Justina Ireland before, do yourself a favor. Come to Farpoint. Meet Justina, hang out with Justina. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. One of the great things that Farpoint does is it talks a lot, or they do a lot with, and of course, we have more guests to be announced. Um, they do a lot um, with various uh with all sorts of things, whether it be talking about science fiction movies and television or talking about books. There's so much programming there that it's just awesome, right? It's just a lot of fun to attend the convention and just to relax and hang out all weekend and geek out with one another, because let's face it, that's what these conventions are about. They're about hanging out and having fun and just being there for each other and just enjoying these communities. This year, we there was a lot of interesting talk this year at Farpoint, and that was about growing these conventions and growing these fan bases. Because let's face it, a lot of science fiction fan bases, especially the Star Trek fan base, um, and I'm not sounding mean or anything here. A lot of the fans of, say, Star Trek are a lot of older people, which is great, right? Like they're passionate about Star Trek, they're passionate about these things that they love. However, they also need to start introducing younger generations to these things, right? Whether it be Star Trek or Star Wars or Stargate, Babylon 5, what insert science fiction or fantasy property here. um we need to continue to grow these fandoms. We need to continue to grow these conventions, because these conventions continue to happen because we attend them, right? And we get people to come to these conventions via word of mouth. We talk about how much fun these conventions are. One of the things that I talked about earlier when talking about Farpoint is are the charities that this convention supports, and the charities that this convention uh, gives back to, in order to help the people of our communities, to help children in need, whether it be through the arts with Artway Alliance, or whether it be through the Julian Fleming Memorial Fund, when we have terminally ill children that just need, the parents are trying to care for their children and they're trying to pay these medical bills, and the charities like Julian Fleming Memorial Fund, they help these people, right? So that's another reason why we should attend these conventions, because it's to give back to the community, it's to grow the communities, and it's to show the community that we all care for one another, that we are all here for one another. um, and that to me is the most important thing that we can do as a community. This convention, like I said, it means so much to me because of not only the charities, but because of just all of the fantastic activities that go on throughout this weekend. um, all of the great programming. The guests are fantastic. This year, they had Matthew Wood and Ellen Sadler, um, from from Star Wars, from the Bad Batch and General Grievous. Um, and it was great meeting them and talking to them. And then we had Bonnie Gordon, who's a geeky singer, as well as the voice of the computer on Star Trek Prodigy, and it was great to talk to her and hang out with her for a bit. And then we got to talk to Rob Kaczynski from Pacific Rim, and he was also in the Section 31 movie. and it was a lot of fun talking to him and hanging out with him. I got to talk English Premier League football with Rob Kaczynski for like 10 minutes. It was great. And then we talked anime, and it's fantastic. It is so much fun. The guests that they get at Farpoint are really down to earth. They're really nice. They want to talk to you. They want to hang out with you. They want to get to know you, right? And it's just a lot of fun. And then we had a lot of funny moments with some of the guests at this year's Farpoint, especially like during the masquerade, where Rob Kaczynski was getting up to present an award, but then it like wasn't his time, and then he accidentally fell off the stage, and he was like in between the judges table and the stage, and he was like laying on the ground just like this, and like we went up to an accepted award for our costume, and I look down and I just say, "Are you good, dude?" And he goes, "Yeah, bro, I'm good, man. I'm comfy down here." It was great. It's interactions like that. Like them being at the hotel bar and interacting with fans, or them showing up to Vic's place for karaoke, or showing up to 10 Forward for the dance party, or what have you. It's a lot of fun. There's Q&A sessions throughout the weekend, which are great, and it's fun to hear about the different guests' backgrounds and their lives and everything. And there is, I will say this, there are a lot of people at all conventions that ask guests the same questions over and over and over again, which is, it is what it is. And we see it at Farpoint, but I will say this: I love the community at Farpoint, because they're just awesome people. They're just so much fun. Um, this year we are planning, or with this upcoming Farpoint, my plan is to really cover this convention more in depth. What I want to do is I'm going to do some more with um, I want to do some more interviews with Farpoint staff members, as well as I really want to talk to members of the Farpoint community, um, because they are the most important thing. The fans are the most important thing to this convention, because without the fans, you don't have a convention, right? And with this one, these fans are so passionate and they are so kind and courteous. So I can't wait to talk to all of them, and to really just to geek out with everybody over that weekend, at the end of January. It's going to be a lot of fun. Farpoint is just a very special convention. So definitely check it out. If it's in Towson, Maryland, at the Sheridan, it is. It's great. It's just awesome. It is just the masquerade alone is worth the price of admission. The masquerade and the programming alone are worth the prices of admission. And the masquerade is great. There's a kids category that they have, that they do. There's a champions cup, and that's for like people that have won like best in show a bunch of times, and all these other things. And then there's like the regular costuming, and it's great because there's just so many great awards. You get to do a little skit while presenting your costume. um, it's a little nerve wracking here and there, because like there's so much that you're doing, because not only are you trying to present your skit, but like before you even go on stage, you're talking to like the craftsman judges if you are entering for like craftsmanship and everything. So like you're talking about craftsmanship, you're talking about how the costume's been made, and all of these all of these things. And it's a lot, but it is so much fun. It's a great time. The green room is fun because like everybody's hanging out and having a good time and just relaxing, and we're all just geeking out over these things that we love, and we're geeking out over each other's costumes. And that's what it's all about, right? Like that's what these conventions are all about. It's all about celebrating. So please, please join us at the end of January of 2026 for this convention. It's awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to party. We're going to have a good time. Um, it's great because this thing is also like 10 minutes away from my house. So like I can just zip back and forth like no problem whatsoever. I mean, even at the last place it was at, it was like what, 20 minutes from the house with traffic? Yeah, it was about 20 minutes from the house with traffic. It was a fun hotel. It was it was the DoubleTree by Hilton, and it did the job, but I like that they're going to this space. And I just can't wait. I cannot wait to celebrate this weekend. Every time that they announce a guest and every time I see a post from Farpoint, I get I get even more excited because I know this is coming and it's going to be here before we know it. And I can't wait. I can't wait. And my wife's probably like, okay, he's talked way too much about this thing. Um, love you, honey. Okay. Anyway, I said you're probably thinking that I'm talking way too much about this thing, and then I said love you. It's okay. She didn't hear me at first. The joys of live stream, right? The joys of live stream. But check this convention out. Seriously. There are a lot of authors that show up to this thing. My boy Rod Van Blake, he's a local author and he usually tables with Artway Alliance. And Rod is fantastic. I love hanging out with him during Farpoint weekends. He and I just get to geek out over stuff. Rod is actually really cool. Rod's a really cool dude, and we actually got to hear some fan fiction from him this year because they actually had a panel about Star Wars fan fiction, and Rod actually shared his story that he wrote involving the dark saber before the dark saber was even invented. And it was really cool to see all of those things and to hear his story. And oh man, it was so cool. So definitely check my boy Rod out. He has Ancient Illuminations, which is his book series, well, his sci-fi book series, and then he's got a fantasy book series as well. So definitely check those out. Check out Artway Alliance. They do amazing things when it comes to just the art space and maker spaces and and just creative spaces. My throat was getting a little dry there. So yeah, check out Farpoint. That's all I gotta say. Like I said, we've got Jess Bush from Strange New Worlds, which Strange New Worlds is an amazing Star Trek show and a lot of fun. We've got David Gerald, who has written Star Trek episodes for television. He's an author. He's also, he's written for Babylon 5. He's written so many amazing things. And then we have Justina Ireland. So if you are a High Republic fan, if you're a Star Wars fan, Justina's got you covered. Um, and Justina is so great. Justina is so fantastic. Um, love hanging out with her at conventions. This will be the second convention that I've hung out with her, but love hanging out with Justina. She's fantastic and just a lot of fun. And then there are more guests to come, and we are only getting started here. Um, I can't wait. I cannot wait. This is going to be great. So yeah, that's I don't know what else to say other than that is that's that's it for the show tonight. It's been fun to to talk about all of these awesome things. It was fun to share my thoughts about the Wayseeker novel, to share my thoughts about entry points to Star Wars, which I will clean that stuff up in the morning because I just don't feel like doing it right now. No, I'll clean it up probably in a little bit. But yeah, that's it. It is great to be back with you all, hanging out, having a good time. We will be back next week. I'm going to be hopping into Discord voice chat in about 15-20 minutes or so. So if you are in our Discord, please join me then. But other than that, I hope that you all have a wonderful week. Hope that you all have just a wonderful weekend, and we will see you very soon. Until then, may the force be with you. May you always fight for light and life. And remember, at the end of the day, we're all the Republic. Until next time, goodbye.